Have you ever come across a tradition so bizarre, shocking, or unbelievable that it made you wonder, how is this even real? Every country, culture, and community has its own customs. Some are heartwarming, others are exciting, but a few are so unique that they almost feel unreal. Imagine walking into a village where people jump off a 100-foot tower with nothing but vines tied to their ankles, or visiting a town where you must wrestle bulls as a way of proving your strength before marriage. Around the world, there are countless ancient traditions that challenge logic, push human limits, and even defy science. Today, we are counting down 5 of the most unique and unbelievable traditions on Earth. These are customs that most of us could never imagine practicing, but for the people who follow them, they are a deeply important part of life. Some of these traditions are thrilling, others are painful, and a few are just downright shocking. Make sure to watch till the end, because the number 1 tradition on our list is something you would never expect. Also, hit that subscribe button if you love exploring the world's strangest and most fascinating cultures. Now let's begin with number 5. Number 5. Land diving, the original bungee jumping Vanuatu. Imagine standing on a tall wooden tower looking down at the ground far below. You have no safety harness, no parachute, just 2 vines tied around your ankles. Then, without hesitation, you leap into the air headfirst. Sounds terrifying, right? Well, for the people of Vanuatu, this is an ancient tradition known as land diving. The men of the Sioux tribe on Pentecost Island have been performing this ritual for centuries. It is believed that this dangerous practice brings a good harvest and proves a man's strength and bravery. The higher the dive, the greater the respect. The preparation for the dive is just as intense as the jump itself. A massive wooden tower, sometimes as high as 100 feet, 30 meters, is built using tree branches and vines. The vines used for the jump must be carefully selected because they need to stretch just enough to break the fall but not snap. The timing of the dive is also critical. If the vines are too dry, they might break. If they are too fresh, they might not stretch properly, leading to a serious injury. What makes this even more unbelievable is that boys as young as 7 years old participate in this tradition. It is their way of proving their courage and entering manhood. For outsiders, this might look terrifying, but for the Sioux people, it is a deeply spiritual experience that connects them with their ancestors and the land. And if you thought this was extreme, wait until you hear about number 4. Number 4. The bullet ant glove, the most painful ritual, Brazil. In the depths of the Amazon rainforest, the Sataramawe tribe practices a pain endurance test so intense that most people could not even survive a few seconds of it. This ritual is known as the bullet ant glove ceremony. The bullet ant is not just any insect, it has the most painful sting in the world, often described as pure, intense, and burning pain that lasts for 24 hours. The pain is so unbearable that some say it feels like being shot, electrocuted, and burned all at the same time. From boys in the Sataramawe tribe, wearing a glove filled with these ants is a mandatory rite of passage. The tribe believes that true strength and warrior spirit can only be proven through enduring extreme pain. The process begins with capturing hundreds of bullet ants and placing them into a woven glove. The ants are then drugged using natural herbs to keep them still while the glove is being prepared. But once the ants wake up, they become aggressive and ready to sting. The young boys must wear the gloves on both hands and keep them on for at least 10 minutes. During this time, the ants sting relentlessly, injecting venom into the hands of the wearer. The pain causes uncontrollable shaking, muscle paralysis, and hallucinations. Even after the gloves are removed, the pain continues for a full day. But this is not a one-time challenge. The boys must repeat this ritual at least 20 times before they are considered true warriors. For the Sataramawe, this test is not just about pain, it is about proving endurance, mental strength, and the ability to face any hardship. It is a tradition that outsiders would consider torture, but for the tribe, it is a matter of honor. And if you think this is painful, number 3 might leave you speechless. Number 3. The baby throwing ceremony, a shocking ritual, India. In some villages in Maharashtra and Karnataka, India, a centuries-old tradition takes place that leaves many outsiders in shock, throwing newborn babies off a 50-foot temple tower. Yes, you heard that right. Parents willingly drop their newborn babies from a tall temple, and below, a group of men stand holding a large cloth, ready to catch the infant. This ritual is believed to bring health, good luck, and a prosperous future for the child. This tradition is particularly common among families who have struggled to have children. It is believed that offering their baby to the gods in this way will bless the child with a long and healthy life. The practice is said to be over 700 years old, dating back to a time when a saint advised childless couples to perform this ritual as an act of faith. For outsiders, it seems extremely dangerous, but the people who follow this tradition see it as a spiritual necessity. Although there have been efforts to ban this ritual, some communities continue to practice it in secrecy, believing that stopping it would bring bad fortune. Now, if you think throwing babies off a tower is shocking, number 2 is something you will never forget. Number 2. Self-mummification, the ultimate sacrifice. Japan. Throughout history, many cultures have had unique funeral traditions, but none are as extreme and unsettling as the practice of self-mummification once followed by a group of Buddhist monks in Japan. This ritual, known as Soprashin Butsu, was a process in which monks mummified themselves alive in an attempt to achieve ultimate enlightenment. Unlike the mummies of ancient Egypt, where bodies were preserved after death, the monks of Shingon Buddhism took a much more painstaking and excruciating approach. The process took over 3,000 days, nearly 10 years of preparation. The first step involved drastically changing their diet. The monks would stop eating rice or any other normal food and instead survive only on nuts, seeds, bark, and tree roots. This forced their bodies to lose all fat and moisture. They also drank a poisonous lacquer tree tea, which killed internal bacteria and prevented decomposition after death. After nearly a decade of extreme fasting and meditation, the monk would enter a tiny underground stone tomb, barely large enough for his body to sit in a meditative posture. The tomb had a small breathing tube to allow air inside, but otherwise the monk was sealed away in complete isolation. Every day the monk would ring a bell to signal that he was still alive. The moment the bell stopped ringing, the breathing tube was removed and the tomb was permanently sealed. The monk was left in complete darkness, preserved for eternity. After 3 years, the tomb would be reopened. If the monk's body was perfectly preserved, he was declared a Buddhist saint and his body was placed in a temple for worship. If decomposition had begun, the monk was given a regular burial. This extreme tradition was practiced for centuries, but eventually, the Japanese government banned it in the 19th century. However, over 20 self-mummified monks can still be seen today in temples across Japan, a haunting reminder of their ultimate sacrifice. And now we have reached the most shocking and unbelievable tradition in the world. Number 1. The hanging coffins, the sky burials in the Philippines and China. In most cultures, the dead are buried underground, placed in tombs, or cremated. But in certain parts of China, the Philippines, and Indonesia, people believe that the best way to honor the dead is to hang their coffins on the sides of cliffs. This ancient practice has existed for over 2,000 years and can still be seen today, particularly in the Sagada region of the Philippines and the Huaya Mountains of China. Instead of burying their loved ones in the ground, villagers place wooden coffins on the faces of steep cliffs, sometimes hundreds of feet above the ground. But why? The belief is that the higher the dead are placed, the closer they are to the heavens. Some also believe that placing bodies on cliffs prevents wild animals from disturbing them and allows their spirits to remain protected and at peace. The process of hanging a coffin is incredibly dangerous. Family members and villagers must climb the cliffs using handmade ropes and wooden ladders, carrying the coffin with them. The higher the placement, the greater the honor for the deceased. Some of these coffins are over 500 years old, still hanging, defying gravity and time. What makes this tradition even more fascinating is that each coffin is made by the deceased before they die. Elders carve their own coffins and write farewell messages on them, preparing for their journey into the afterlife. Though this practice is slowly disappearing as modernization spreads, many hanging coffins still remain untouched high above the ground, silently watching over the living. And with that, we have reached the end of our journey into the world's most unbelievable and mind-blowing traditions. From deadly land diving to self-mummification, from bullet and gloves to hanging coffins, these traditions push the limits of human endurance, belief, and culture. While they may seem extreme to us, for the people who practice them, they hold deep spiritual and cultural significance. Which tradition shocked you the most? Would you ever dare to wear the bullet and glove or jump from a 100-foot tower with vines? Let us know in the comments. And if you love this deep dive into the world's most unbelievable traditions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. There are so many more fascinating traditions, hidden cultures, and ancient secrets waiting to be explored. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.